Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. A late header by Damien Lowe was ruled out for a foul, cutting short the celebration of Jamaicans who thought he had scored to give the Reggae Boyz a 2-1 lead over the USA in Tuesday's CONCACAF World Cup Qualifying inside the National Stadium in Kingston. The call by Costa Rican referee Juan Gabriel Calderon is still being debated long after he blew the whistle to signal the end to a match that ended 1-1. Now, this is where that result leaves the Reggae Boyz in this Octagonal qualifying round. See them there in 6th position on 7 points. They are 7 adrift of Panama in 4th. Also 7 adrift of the Mexicans, who were leading this section not so long ago, but they have had 2 bad results consecutively. So the Jamaicans 7 points off 3rd place, to be fair, because that's what the math says. And they are 8 points off 2nd place. Well, they're not thinking so loftily. They just want to have a shot of going to Qatar, and the 4th spot would give them a half slot because they'd have to play off against a continental rival to be decided or to be named in order to be on the plane to Qatar. So, with 6 games remaining, Lance, the Reggae Boyz retaining only a mathematical chance of reaching Qatar. It's a numbers game from here. I wanted to comment on that, but also comment on a very, very sage observation you made from the celebration of Antonio's goal on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, let me start first by giving my opinion on the point standings as they are. Mexico and Panama are the closest teams that Jamaica are to qualification based on the standings. I think both of those teams are too good to lose 7 points, lose a 7-point gap to the Jamaicans at this stage of the competition. I think Panama is a fine team, highly underestimated. I think the Mexicans haven't been playing well, but they are good enough, in my opinion, not to surrender a 7-point advantage, both of them, to the Jamaicans at the moment. So I wouldn't fancy the Jamaicans of making the qualification at this point. I want to also suggest that there was a moment in the match last night that made me think very closely about stories we've been hearing about divisions in the Jamaica camp, the local based players or the local produced players as against the overseas based non-Jamaican born players. And when Mikel Antonio scored that sensational goal last night, which is what it was, a sensational goal, the body language I saw from a couple of the Jamaican players was very, very tame, bland, almost as if they weren't happy that he had scored. I know it sounds weird, but if you look closely at the recording and look back at the reaction from some of the players immediately after the goal had scored, it made me wonder. It made me wonder, and if the team is divided and they are not moving in a way that suggests to me that there is a full-blown chemistry in the team, as there was to get to the 1998 World Cup finals, to me that is another area of weakness with this Jamaica team for me.
But what I remember specifically is coming into this particular match, every time these players were asked about the mood in the camp, because that seemed to be a trending question coming into this match, they all said the same thing. And it makes me wonder now if it's a narrative that was probably discussed in the dressing room, where, you know, the same good vibes that we were hearing from the West Indies camp, it sort of sounded like that, or echoed those sentiments as if they were spoken to about that, and they were to tell the media, you know, we're going in, the mood is fine, everybody's having the same momentum. So it's one thing to say something, well, to be honest, one thing to feel something.
Yeah, to be honest now, Mariah, I think the team management would have recognized that there was a problem, because there was a problem initially. I don't think they can deny it convincingly. They may deny it publicly, but I don't think it is believable that there weren't some issues at some point, because from the inception, when the original Jamaica team had fee issues with the Jamaica Football Federation, remember that controversy?
The negotiation, yes.
It appears to me that part of solving that problem was to step up the intensity of pursuing some of these new players to come and settle the whole issue, almost as if to say to the local players, okay, if you don't want to play for this amount, we'll get players who want to play. And I believe that there has been some tension that developed over that period. I also recognize that the team management would know that you cannot be in an intense World Cup qualifying program and not have the players developing some level of togetherness. And if there was that problem, they would have addressed it. And there may have been some improvement, which is what we heard, the narrative that, you know, the players are now, the camaraderie is now a lot better, and the boys are gelling and things are looking better. They may have gotten better than where it started, but I saw clear signs last night that it's not where it should be.
But you know, all right. So I'm very happy that you brought that up, and you know, your narrative accords with information that we've gotten about the aftermatch attempts to get to some players, and some players saying, well, no, I'm not going to call that person because, you know, those guys see themselves differently from us, you know. But I'm going to ask you, how damaging is that to the objective of winning football games and qualifying for tournaments? Because, as you would know very well, there are famous examples of successful teams having players in the starting 11 or in a starting 13 or in the favored 13 who didn't get along and they won big trophies. The best example I can use is a situation in which our very own Trinidad and Tobago superstar, as he was in his playing days, Dwight York. It wasn't him, but the man with whom he dovetailed best, a man who I can say with confidence was one of his best friends at the club, Andy Cole. I'm talking about Manchester United, Alex Ferguson's Manchester United.
Yes.
It was an open secret. Teddy Sheringham, an Englishman, a white Englishman, and Andy Cole, a black Englishman, were at daggers drawn with each other.
Yes.
Stemming from an incident where Cole was making his England debut, Sheringham was being substituted for him to come on, and his body language when he didn't want to come off, and he barely acknowledged him when he was being substituted, and Cole held a grudge, justifiably I believe, and they never spoke to each other at training. But Manchester United play, Sheringham scores, York is on the field, they celebrate together. York scores, Sheringham celebrates with him. And of course, if York and Cole aren't speaking to each other, there are players in the Manchester United team who would be friends with one guy and not so much the other guy, so they would be cool with the other person. But you know, so I'm wondering how much of an effect that really has on everything, because that Manchester United squad that they were a part of and weren't speaking to each other for the time that they were at the club is one of the most successful teams in United's long history.
Yeah, I have a quick response to that, Sarge, George. Manchester United is not Jamaica.
True.
Manchester United to football in England and Europe is not Jamaica to CONCACAF football.
Cultures.
There is also, to add to the point that you're making, which is a solid point, there were times when in the West Indies dominance in cricket, there were rifts between players. And I've been told by some of the players that when they crossed the rope to go onto the field, that was behind them. They were professionals and they delivered. This Jamaica team cannot overcome things like that, in my opinion.
True.
This is a building team against teams who are structurally better than they are, that need chemistry, camaraderie and spirit to challenge these better teams. Manchester United was a top team. And even though there may have been rifts within the team, the quality of Manchester United rose above that. But Jamaica does not have that quality over the USA, Mexico and Costa Rica and these teams. But to have that kind of thing be hamstrung by their bid.
Question for you. All right. Men are the same anywhere and everywhere. Have always been so, likely to always be so. And women the same, Mariah. I see you're giving me the eyes. Okay? Women are the same everywhere.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I think that part of the thing we're missing, if what you are saying you saw is reflective and indicative of a problem with chemistry. And what we are hearing about the aftermath of the game yesterday and attempts to get to some players and asking someone to call someone and saying, if all that fits together. I think there's a management problem to it. Because I'm certain, Lance, I'm certain, Mariah, that at some point Ferguson would have said, gentlemen, listen, I know you don't speak to you. When you cross the line in this shirt, no foolishness, yeah? Don't let me even think. Don't let me even imagine that you're not passing to this man. Don't let me think you're not even celebrating with that. And so I'm saying you never saw evidence of the rift I spoke about, which is one of the most storied rifts in English
I'm going to say something football. To strengthen the point you're making you're finished.
So I'm saying, in this situation, you want players to celebrate with each other.
Yes.
Yeah? No, that's the difference.
Can I strengthen your point now quickly? Olympic Games, Tokyo, after the women's 100 meters, there was a noticeable distance.
There was frostiness evident,
between Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price. And a lot of people felt as if it didn't look good. as two Jamaicans on that platform. Management probably chipped in, George, as you're suggesting, and we didn't see that after that.
Yes.
There was noticeably, after the 200 and the relays, a much better camaraderie.
And a social media video of everybody living happily.
Yes.
So
management has something to do with it, I agree.
You all forgot the interview we had with Tapper. Even he recognizes that there's a problem, and I get the sense that even he doesn't know how to deal with these players.
What did he say?
Remember?
She's right.
I know,
she's
but
right.
I just wanted.
Yeah, but I'm
when
saying,
he mentioned Ravel and whatnot.
But I'm saying, Tapper.
Oh, you mean not your interview last night?
No.
The interview we did.
Okay,
fine.
So I'm saying, Tapper. Oh, we have to wrap. But Whitmore has a serious role to play in that. But I'm going beyond Whitmore, and I'm looking at Roy Simpson, the manager, and other players in the management unit to say, gentlemen, it is unity of purpose when we go across that line to kick that football.
The conversation needs to happen.
That's what we need to see, because bigger players than the ones we have had rifts. And they have united for the common cause.
Yeah, you're right, George and Maraz. Still to come on today's show, the SportsMax production team journeyed to Manchester High in central Jamaica for 2 fixtures from the Costa Cup football. We'll have a roundup. And dismal showing from the West Indies at the recent T20 World Cup. Former Cricket West Indies president Dave Cameron has added his voice to those calling for Kieran Pollard to be replaced as white ball captain. Cameron is set to join us later in the show. Our producers have decided to test our knowledge about the Jamaica-USA squads for Tuesday's World Cup qualifier at the office in Kingston. More on the SportsMax Zone after this.